Who'd you talk to? What's going on? It's me. It's me. Mike Lepre, King Mike L, the dumbest person that I know. Literally, I'm the dumbest person that I know. Why? Because I just did 27 minutes of the show without recording it or without even having these gentlemen seen because I'm a moron. So to bring my intelligence up a notch, I'm going to go with Brother Ray first. Brother Ray.
Oh. Hey, what's going on, King? What is it? Tuesday, Wednesday? Monday. Okay. How's everyone doing?
Monday, March 22nd, 2021. Ray, did you notice that we weren't recording?
I didn't notice until someone said something, and I didn't see the big little red numbers going and moving. That's when I knew we were in trouble.
To bring us up a little bit more, Ray, let's bring in the genius Kev. Kev, you're the one that spotted, am I correct?
Yes, you're correct. Yes.
Around what time was it, Kev? Around the 27-minute mark?
I thought we were doing a production meeting. I thought we were going over topics, getting ready for the show. I thought it was really productive. I thought it was a good use of our time.
I can't believe I'm this stupid. Coach TJ, did you notice that we weren't recording?
Yeah, so at first we were going over the show notes. Then you started interviewing people. And I said, we're 24 minutes past. We could just talk about this on the show. But apparently no one was listening to my hot take on that. Yeah. So, I thought we were just going over the timeline. And then it turned into like, well, what do you think about this? Well, between the three of us or between the rest of the people, I don't know. But here we are. That's all that matters. We're here.
I can't stop bullshitting, period. It's just a thing. You know what I mean? It's like, this is just containing it for an hour because it is what it is. But, so let's see. What was I talking about? Here's what I was talking about. And I'm sorry, guys. The Instagram problem I had where I had the 10 upsets. 9 came in. I lost on 1. It was like $5 would have won me like $9,000. It was an absolutely upsetting moment because as I was going down the list, I would have rather seen like multiple losses. Like I can't explain it to you guys because I'm going down and I'm just seeing blue. What was weird is it was like the 8th or 9th game on that list, so it wasn't even at the top. So I go to get my heart broken quickly at the top. But this way I went all the way down, like, and then motherfucker it was at the bottom. Very upsetting. It was very, very already upsetting. So then I asked, TJ, why so many upsets this year in the tournament?
Well, there's 2 factors at work. One, this season has been really strange with all the Chinese flu stuff and all of that, where some teams played like 16 games and some teams played 27 games, and some teams didn't play their regular schedule. So you have a team like UCLA that suffered an injury early, got off to a slow start, and now they're an 11 seed that's going to the Sweet 16, no problem. So that's 1. 2, you don't have some of the major powerhouses that we're used to having, and Duke and Kentucky definitely come to mind. But it's also been a down year for Kansas, and it's been a down year for Villanova as well. So you got that part of it too. And then the third thing is the level of play is the separation between the level of play between, say, the bottom half of the Big East and the top half of a mid-major. It's not that far. I mean, these are the same kids getting recruited. So I think, a 12-5 game, that's a toss-up right now. You look at the point spreads on some of these 12-5 games, and it's 2.5. And now we're coming to a point where 2 seeds aren't even safe anymore. Now, Gonzaga handled their business, but 2 seeds in the first round, I mean, 3 of those games were close for a bulk of the game, whereas it used to be you could pencil in the 1 and 2 seeds, right through to the Sweet 16. Those days are over.
Brother Ray?
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with COVID, and I think we were talking about, in the pre-show, I'll call it. We were talking about how seeding usually it's judgmental anyway. It's never completely accurate. Some teams will always get the props, and some of these smaller teams are not going to get the props. So you always have that that upset factor to begin with. You add COVID and some of these teams not playing full seasons and people being injured and people being out, and it's even worse. It makes it even worse now. So a lot of these seedings, like Coach was saying, I mean, they're not accurate. They're not even close to accurate. So, I mean, we had a 2 seed that barely escaped, won by 3 points. I mean, like he was saying, 2 seeds, none of them are safe.
And here's another thing. Let me shut my wife's texting me because she doesn't know what I'm doing downstairs on a Monday night at 8:00. You have this scheduling situation this year where teams weren't traveling as much as they normally travel. So what happens to a mid-major is you can't schedule those 2 games against powerhouse teams that if you win one of those games, you go from being a 13 to an 11. You don't have that opportunity. And we saw it right here in our backyard in Rhode Island where Providence College didn't play URI. Because, well, if we don't have to play you, we don't want to play you. And when you get out into some parts of the country, if you take a team like Loyola, I don't know what their schedule was going to look like, but if they were going to play Creighton and Notre Dame and they didn't play those games because of COVID, now instead of being a 7 seed, now you're the 9 seed. So there's a lot of little things that happen with this COVID scheduling where teams didn't get the opportunities to play up. Everyone was playing in their region. You didn't see a lot of cross-country travel. I mean, a team like Bryant, where we're at, they're known for going out there to play Duke at Cameron. And that stuff was just shut down. So had Bryant made the tournament, just playing Duke, they would have made them a 15 seed instead of a 16. So there's a lot of that. And I think that's why you saw those lower seeds. I mean, they represented themselves super well.
Yeah, Kev, betting.
Hold on a second. Okay, I actually have a theory on this also. One other thing I wanted to add in, because this year isn't like the only year with upsets. Like there's been more and more upsets in the last few years. And I have a theory on this that it's also related to the way basketball has evolved and the style of play. I think it's easier to upset a team when you have a bunch of 3-point shooters and you're not and like you don't have to bang and worry about bigs, because in the past, like you're not like a Georgetown team with a Ewing or a Mutombo. They're hard to beat when someone that looks like you or Coach TJ is trying to drive into the lane and post this guy up. It's not going to work. But if you got a whole 4 of us that can stand around shooting 3-pointers, and you only have to, and you don't have to worry about going inside. Like even the really good, strong teams now, they all play the same type of basketball. So to upset somebody with jump shooters is a lot easier than having to upset them. I think when you're banging. That's I need to refine the theory a little bit, but that's the rough version.
And here's the thing: even the teams that are big, like that have big players compared to the mid majors, they're playing the same way. They're all shooting threes. You watch Villanova's got 6'9" guys. They're not using their size in any way at all. Schroeder is not using his body. He's just taking jump shots, just like the guy in the other team who's 6'1". So it is a great equalizer, and it turns into a bit of a 3-point contest. I sent a text last night. Did you ever think they should just get rid of the 3-point line to somebody? Because I'm watching a game and it was like, you take a 3, I take a 3, you take a 3. I mean, really, if we just got rid of the line, I don't think you would get these upsets anymore. And I think that's to your point, Kev. You get rid of this line, and there's no incentive to be 25 feet away from the basket. Now, those high percentage shots matter the same as everything else. You'll see a lot more of that show.
And I think especially because it's one game, it's 40 minutes. My shots fall, yours don't. All of a sudden, I'm going to Sweet 16.
Pistol Pete never shot with a 3-point line,
and
he scored all those goddamn points, gosh darn points. That's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. That one blows my mind when I think about it, the points that he scored and the way that he did it. But anyways, so I just thought that the upsets were easier to pick. With the NBA lately, it's easier to pick the money line. Actually, on some games, it's really easy because when there's certain guys out, there's no way that team's winning. Like, I don't care if they're minus whatever. The smart money will tell you that if you put a ton of money on it, they're going to win. Like, there's certain teams that are like that. But this you could always fall on your face. But I do believe that is a case in the NBA right now. Like, TJ, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, certain guys aren't playing; they're just not going to win that.
Yeah, you feel that way. I mean, Philadelphia went 3-1 this last week without Embiid, and they beat Sacramento without Embiid and Simmons. But that's the exception rather than the rule. You start, look, the Lakers are not looking good. And Philadelphia is about to hit a stretch where they go from like the 1 seed to the 3 seed, and you can just see it coming over time. So yeah, injuries in the NBA are huge right now. It sucks because I think everybody wants to watch the best basketball with the best players on the floor. But if you're paying attention and you know who's hurt and who's not, I mean, there's value to be had.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking earlier, someone like LaMelo Ball, go out for the year. That's a big, big blow to Charlotte. In fantasy, if you can grab Devontae Graham, if he's out there in your league, get on him right now, because he's going to have a big opportunity with him with Ball out for the year. But you don't want to see that. Like, you hate to see, someone like that, a bright young rookie, was really starting to get into his groove. That team was playing better. But that's the sport. But the Lakers do look awful right now. I don't know what's going on with them.
Bunch of role players can't play roles. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, I was going to put the Lakers also. I mean, I don't see how they get through this stretch. I mean, I guess what they're going to do is hope that they can play somewhere around 500 because they're what are they 14 games over right now, something like that, and hope that they can survive, drop some slots, but still make the playoffs. I mean, they're in really tough shape.
I mean, you got to think they'll be able to make the playoffs. And I'll tell you one thing: I don't question LeBron's toughness and durability when it comes to. I question his toughness when he flops when someone breathes on him, but I feel like if the wheels really come off, LeBron can force himself back and at least facilitate.
Yeah.
I think there's a risk that the Lakers don't make the playoffs, but it's going to be some trying times for the next couple of weeks.
Ray, best flopper, in your opinion, of all time?
Bill Lambert. It's not even close.
I got one better than that, I think. TJ, what do you think?
I don't know. If you're going to beat Lambert, I don't even want to give an answer. What do you got?
Vlade Divac. Vlade could flop like nobody else.
Yeah.
He would, and it would be a dramatic flop too. Vlade would come down, he'd get up, he'd bend, and now he's up going like this.
Yep.
No, Vlade
He's never a bad guy.
But then he falls down every time Shaq gets the ball, and 5 times they call it. Yeah, that's a good call, Mike.
Is he still the GM of Sacramento?
That was his best years around Sacramento.
He's still working.
Was he in the front office for?
Yeah, he was a GM, but he was a GM for a little while. But they got rid of him. You could have traded him anything for anybody. He was horrible. But King, as soon as you mentioned him, all I thought was flops with flair. Because like you said, his were amazing. He wouldn't just fall; he'd slide. He looked like a soccer player.
I appreciated them.
Yeah,
I appreciated what he put into them. Like, he wanted to make them. He knew he was the best. I think. That's some guys just got it and they know it, Kev. All right, so take me to the NBA right now. Here's the question: what teams are going to take these power roles? Like, with these other teams hurt and these guys down, who steps up and takes like the mantle? Who runs with this? Who's a team that surprises us like down the run that they're just that good? TJ first. I
mean, the first team that comes to mind to me is Portland. I feel like Portland is going to end up with a home seed somehow. I think they're like 6th right now or 7th. I just looked at it quick, but it didn't catch me. I think Portland can take advantage of the Lakers being hurt. Portland's pretty much healthy. I think that's a team that's on the come up for the next couple of weeks heading to the playoffs.
Right?
I mean, Utah's still there. I think Utah's still a team that we're all going to underestimate, and we're really not going to talk about them. But I have to say, I think Phoenix might benefit from the Lakers, going through what they're going through. I know I gave up on them. I thought they were a flash in the pan, but they've been playing well lately. So I think that could be a team. On paper, they have the players.
Yep.
Yeah, I like what Brother Ray and TJ said. The only other team I'll add to the mix, and notice we're all talking Western Conference teams. I would say I think Denver will probably benefit also. I think they're playing pretty well. I think they'll move up a little bit as LA drops, but I could see Phoenix, Portland, and Denver.
And I'll tell you the big winner with the LaMelo injury. I feel like Atlanta right now. By the way, Atlanta's like 10 and they're like 8 in their last 10 games. Like Atlanta's playing well.
8 in a row.
Yeah, so they're a team that I think is pretty much locked into the playoffs. I mean, if they just continue to play, it's good for Atlanta too, because I think a lot of people didn't have them in the lottery, and they're not going to be in the lottery. So worth mentioning.
So TJ, with that one, that kind of blows me away a little bit, because they fired the coach mid-season. From everything you heard, it was not a good situation, but the firing actually probably wasn't hit all that well either. They start leaking dirt like immediately after he's gone. They get Nate McMillan takes over, and they're like 8-2 or whatever they are. It's absolute insanity. Like what the heck was going on with Lloyd Pierce before this? It's kind of crazy, the turnaround.
I don't know, but I'll tell you, John Collins has really come into his own. So that helps. And I don't know how much of that falls on McMillan, or how much of that was just a natural course of things. But they have a nice rotation. They've got 6-7 guys averaging double figures. And Trae Young, I know Trae Young has a bad rep for being somewhat of a gunner that takes bombs and whatnot, dribbles too much maybe. But the kid's going to be scoring 25 points a game for the next 10 years. And I feel like the pieces, I don't know if McMillan, I don't know how much credit I give the coach in this situation, but Collins has really made a leap, and he's like he's an NBA player, like not just a player. He's like a semi-star, and Atlanta's going to be a playoff team, for a while, because they're young.
Again, I think Trae Young is going to have a huge career in Europe. Like I give him a couple more years.
No
He's
way.
a small frame.
No.
He's been playing in Italy.
The only way he's playing in Italy is if they put the All-Star game in Italy.
Said the same thing about Steph Curry. He was too frail, couldn't play in the NBA.
I never said that about Steph Curry.
No, but
Curry's a gym rat. I'm saying that about Trae Young. I've never been a fan of Trae Young. You guys know that. He creeps me out on one part. Second of all, I don't like the way he plays. I don't think whatever. We'll see. I get RG3 vibes. How about that?
Who I like on that team is Clint Capella. I mean, he is having a really good season. That's a big guy. If I'm the Celtics, I don't know.
I always felt like Robert Williams I feel like that's Robert Williams' ceiling to be Clint Capella, but I don't know why maybe he doesn't earn them. Maybe I don't understand what they're doing down there in Boston, but Robert Williams can give you Clint Capella box scores, I feel like, if he got the minutes. And that rotation in Boston is such a disaster. Like, do you know they're underdogs today playing against Memphis? They're freaking Celtics are underdogs playing against Memphis.
Yeah, +2, right? +2.
Yeah.
How do you fix it? I mean, like, I know people complain about it, but so how do you fix it?
They got to fire somebody. I think I got to. Something about Jason Tatum isn't sitting well with me. I don't know if Jason Tatum has that it factor, that alpha player personality. Like, he's a nice scorer. I don't know if he's hungry. I really don't. He just seems to be going through. I mean, he's good at that. He's a talented kid. But
You can say the same thing about Kemba, though. I mean,
yeah. Kemba's made of glass too. They got him on the wrong side, man. He's not the same. He's got no explosion. Problem is, Danny Ainge, we went through it before. He's not going to trade unless he straight up robs the other team. So he's not going to trade Tatum for 90 cents on the dollar just so we can get 3 parts. He's not going to do it. So I think you're stuck with this group until they decide to leave. And in the draft, they're probably going to make the bottom half. They're in a bad place in the NBA. You don't want to be at the end of the playoffs, because then you get a crappy draft pick and then you get smashed in the first round. That's like the worst place to be.
Yes, it is.
And I feel like they're there right now.
You stay there for a while when you fall.
Dude, it's hard to move, or you just have to blow it up. But I don't think they're bad enough to blow it up. Like, they're young. You're old and you're doing this 6-7 seed stuff, cool. But they're young. What are you going to do? Trade Brownie and Tatum and start at the beginning? No way.
Well, Ray, what would you do to fix them?
The problem is the coach is not going to change. He is not going to change his philosophy. He's not going to listen to anybody. So if I'm Ainge, I'm sitting down and I'm looking at that roster and saying, all right, they're going to make some tough decisions. And like TJ said, if Ainge is holding on to those future picks, thinking that he's going to get a pot of gold down the line. It's not going to happen, folks. Like, you are what you are right now, and they're just not a good basketball team.
You know what they remind me of, right? Remember the Thaddeus Young, Iguodala, Drew Holiday group? I love that team. They beat the Bulls in the first round. They were an 8 seed, but they were always going to be a 5 through 8 seed. I think their ceiling was maybe a home round in the playoffs, right?
They could score. All could score.
When they blew that team up, I was mad. Like, I didn't want to tank. I didn't want to do it. But in hindsight, they were better off tanking than being mediocre for the duration of the Evan Turner experiment. You know, so Boston's kind of a similar mold. Like, it's tough decisions.
Wait, what do they have? I'm sorry to interrupt you. What do they have for future capital? You just alluded, Ray, to the fact that they have future picks. What do they have? What does Boston have?
They always have future picks.
Yeah, I think they have a future Memphis pick. They have multiple picks. I mean, he has done a good job of accumulating picks. But
so he's definitely got like a couple of extra first rounders, second rounders.
At least one. I want to say Memphis.
Hold on. Yeah, they got the Memphis. They had the Memphis pick. That was like gold, and then Memphis became good. Now they're underdogs against Memphis. 21. I'm trying
to figure out like when do you pull the trigger on these picks?
Yeah, they have a protected top 55 pick with the Thunder. They have the Hornets top 55 protected pick. You know.
2023, they have like 9 picks.
Yeah.
So when, Kev, when do they call? When do you call due?
It's a good question. It's an organizational philosophy question because personally, I think they're gonna have to make a call at some point. Is it Brown or is it Tatum? I just think they're gonna have to make that decision. I don't think it's gonna be both because. Like, I don't think either one of them is dominant enough. It's weird. Like, they're both great and they're both like max contract players, but I don't think they're like dominant. Like, if you had 2 guys and they were like that strong, you wouldn't be in this position. They're both missing something. So I think they have to make a decision on one of those, start trading, like make some moves to those picks, and like almost reload. And they don't want to do it. They definitely don't want to do it.
And then problem B is they're not a free agent destination for any of these, like the elite tier of the NBA. Like James Harden's. I always laugh around in Boston whenever someone's a free agent and you turn on the radio and Durant's coming. Durant's not coming to freaking Boston.
No.
Davis is not coming to wear green and walk around in the mud of January around the Garden. You know, like they get Kawhi is going to come here. No, he's not. No one cares about 86, and sure as hell no one cares about Bill Russell. So the way to do it is they have to get the draft right. They have to use a trade exception, which they have this year. So I think they're going to add a piece this year. But they have to trade smartly, and they have to build it the right way. But right now, to Kev's point, they don't have Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. They have Tatum and Brown. Like if those 2 guys were as good as the Portland 2 guys, if Portland was in the East, they'd be the 2 seed right now. You know, so I think the Celtics, they have a little bit of a talent problem.
You know,
they have stat stuffers now. They have decent stat stuffers, but not players. These guys can fill the stat sheet, but they're not leaders, they're not players, and they don't do what's necessary to win games.
And they do that my turn, your turn shit, which I hate. Hate that.
I think because we live here, we don't see it. But imagine you're a young kid and you're about to sign $1 million contract to play ball someplace, and you get to choose between living here in New England with all this mess, right? This muck, the cold, or you can go down to LA. You know what I mean? Or someplace like that. It's not even a choice anymore to me. I'm like, get me down there. Like, get me someplace warm. I don't want to be here.
And if LA is not the best, example, then Texas or Florida are even better because
Texas is even better, definitely.
Let me get rid of this income tax while I'm at it. You know, let me get rid of this state income tax and let me go down here where it's in the wintertime it's 70 degrees. You know, it's hard. It's hard to convince these kids to come up here for what reason. That's why Giannis is the man, because he's going to stay in Milwaukee. Good for him. I give him a lot of credit for it. But that's why a team like Houston, as much as James Harden just obliterated the franchise, don't you feel like when they had if they have a bunch of minimum guys, they can recruit another big 3 down there? and be like, look, you come here, your $10 million is really worth 13 if you're in Houston. So you might as well come down here, pay no taxes, and get out of the snow.
Yeah, it'll probably happen. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the pitch.
There it
Yeah,
is.
the Celtics are plus 4.5 right now. If anybody wants to bet them.
That line moved that much?
Yeah, plus 4.5. Yeah.
I might take the Celtics after I just bashing them for 40. We're talking about 4.5.
Yeah.
Oh, that just
Yeah.
jumped. That just jumped a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, so all right. Switching gears really quickly before we do any kind of picks or stuff like that. In the NCAA, what do we got left for the high seeds? Who's supposed to be there right now?
Gonzaga's supposed to be there.
Yep.
And Gonzaga, Iowa lost today, so Gonzaga's path
Yeah.
just got even easier. You know, I mean, they're pretty much a lock for the Final Four, which means that they'll probably lose next Friday.
Baylor's still there.
Still got Baylor.
Baylor.
I can't believe. I should say I can't believe it. But Illinois losing to Loyola was pretty big. I thought Illinois would make it pretty far. I was surprised about that one.
Houston.
So you weren't here Thursday, but Kev said that on his advanced metrics, Loyola was like the 9th best team in the country.
Yeah.
So yours truly went and put them all the way to the Elite 8, which means that when they beat Illinois the other day, I jumped up like 40 spots in the standings of the league because our league our league's a little different. We don't just do 1 point per win. It's like also you add the seed total to it. So
Okay.
I jumped a whole bunch of spots. It was nice. I was going to text Kev, but I figured I'd see him today anyway. But
You got them going out here, though, right?
Hmm?
You got them in this next round.
But they're going to win one more game. I have them winning one more game.
Oh, that'd be big. That would be big.
That would be because that's like triple the point. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we can hope. Ray, how's your bracket doing? Done?
No, I mean most of the top seeds. Although we'll see what happens with Michigan. I have my Final Four was Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, Houston. So
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
I'm still limping along.
Kev, yourself?
Yeah, Ray, that's actually really good. You're in good shape. Okay, I didn't actually do a bracket all the way through. I started, then I figured I would focus on individual games. So today I was big on UCLA, which was they destroyed Abilene Christian. I think UCLA might have another win in them. So I've been watching them pretty closely, and I'm really interested in Syracuse. And Coachy, this is one of the things I wanted to ask you about with them. I mean, obviously they beat San Diego State, who I had picked San Diego State in that game, and they destroyed them. They handled West Virginia fairly easily, 11-3, and they got Houston next. And I thought Houston was going to get pretty far. So this game, like everything I hear about Syracuse, is their 2-3 matchup zone is so like teams don't know how to handle it. And I'm just curious, what's as a basketball coach, what do they mean by that? Is it that big of an advantage?
It is because they're so good at it, and Boeheim's been coaching it for so long that there's nobody that's going to come up with something else to do against Syracuse that hasn't been tried a million times. So they do 3 things really well. The first thing is they recruit guys that play the zone. So there's no short, stubby guys on Syracuse. Like you know what I mean? Jerry McNamara was probably the only guy I could think about that wasn't like long. The Russian kid, I forget his name. It starts with a D. I don't know if he's Russian. The kid's all arms and legs. And when they spread out, they're covering a lot of area. So that's one is the way he recruits. Number 2, when a ball gets passed to the wing against almost every 2-3 zone in college, the top guy in the zone is the one that'll go close out on the wing. What Syracuse does is they bring the bottom guys up. So they're always matched up. So they'll bring the bottom guy up and just rotate the whole zone in almost like a circle. Whereas the way we're taught it usually is the wing gets that guy and then you rotate and then the other wing drops. Syracuse doesn't do that. So they almost spread out like an umbrella when the ball goes to the wing. And the third thing they do is they dare you to take turnaround jump shots from the foul line. And it seems like that would be an easy shot to take. And how many people will watch a Syracuse game and be like, why doesn't that guy just shoot it? Why doesn't he shoot it? Well, usually it's a guy that can't, that A, doesn't have the green light to take that shot. B, doesn't have the green light to take that shot 20 times in a game. And then C, isn't a guy that's used to catching the ball in that spot. So they'll give you that pass from the wing to the foul line, And you'll see the big guy catch it, and you'll be like, you're wide open, and the guy will be like looking for a guard. So, yeah, it's unbelievable that they can do it just on that defense. But again, he's got horses out there. You can't run. You try and throw that in if you're Providence College, you just don't have the bodies for it.
Yeah.
So, but it is pretty cool when it's clicking to watch teams struggle against a 2-3 zone. I get excited. That excites me. But that's that on the zone.
Cool. Thanks. So, Ray, your son must be going nuts, right? With.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because he right before COVID, he would see Buddy all the time. Like I think he was in a class with Buddy. Said he was really cool kid, very quiet. You would never think he's star of the basketball team. But talking about Boeheim right now, what I think has really been amazing with them is the way off that zone, the way they're turning offense. The way that offense is just clicking. The transition offense, they're hitting the threes. That's really all it is. In that scheme, in that team, it's there. You gotta play the zone and hit the threes, and that's the way you beat the zone defense. But you see what they're doing. Buddy is on a historic pace right now. He's hit in back-to-back games the most 3-point shots in Syracuse history. So,
Look at it.
Hey, quick question. Is Gonzaga playing Rutgers next?
No, Creighton.
One of my teams. That's one of my teams. Them and Syracuse, my surprise teams.
Zags play Creighton on Saturday. Saturday.
Michigan just went up 5 for those of us who don't have a TV.
Who does Rutgers play next?
Rutgers lost to Houston, so
Yeah.
God darn it! I forgot. I didn't see that.
Syracuse, Houston. That'll be a good game.
It is going to be a good game. I'll tell you what. Houston is relentless on the offensive glass. Like they got 4 or 5 bodies attacking. They should have lost yesterday. They should have lost. Boy, that ferocious effort.
Kev, do you know who the head of sports athletics at Rutgers is?
No, I do not know that off the top of my head. Should I, or are you?
Yeah, you should.
Oh, is it Matt Colgiovanni? Is it Colgiovanni?
His first name is Matthew.
Yeah, Colgiovanni. Yeah, I saw that.
Colgiovanni.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him actually. I can't believe it. I was shocked. Yeah.
What is that position called? Like when you had the athletics, the
Athletic director?
yeah, there you go, athletic director.
Yes.
Yeah, Matt. He went to school with us. He was a year behind us.
Yep.
Matty Giovanni. That's hilarious.
It is. Have you seen a picture of him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like a athletic director should look, and I would never pick it because I still see what he looked like in high school. Like he's like.
Now I got to go Google the Rutgers athletic director.
Yeah, he went to high school. I was so glad. I was so glad too that he got the job. Like it's so like I root for Rutgers now whenever they're in anything.
Well, he can't be the athletic director because the guy who's the athletic director is not named that.
He's sports information director, SID.
Oh, okay, all right.
He's either that or the assistant athletic director, one of the two.
Yeah.
All right.
Either way, good for Matt.
Yeah.
I just have memories of going over Fred's house and watching Fred throw him down a flight of stairs. So pretty much my Matty C memories. Love you, Matty.
He was a good kid. Good kid.
This guy didn't even show up Providence High School on his bio though. Not cool.
What?
Come on, man. You gotta shout out.
Wow.
Seriously? Not even here. He went to URI and he went to Wichita State. Bless his heart. Yeah. Nothing. No Cougar, no hashtag Cougars, go Cougars, nothing.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it. The Cougar thing, because there's a problem with the Cougars, and no one knows what we're talking about outside the 4 of us. But like, when I think of Cougar sports memories, I think of like a lot of great athletes, and then just a bunch of douchebags sprinkled in there. Just for the sake of where we're from. Just people that were a bit too much for no reason. Coaches that they didn't coach, they just ran a scrimmage. And they were constantly open, which makes no sense because how are we learning anything, coach? But just in general, like you played with some athletes. You always had like that one kid that he just, I don't know, maybe his dad knew the ref. Or,
I don't know. I don't know if this is in every high school, but there's a couple things I can guarantee you about North Providence. One, there's going to be one of the top 3 players in the school is going to be ineligible walking in the hallway. That's a fact.
Yep.
There'll be that kid where everybody's like, yo, if he was on the team, yeah, well, he's not on the team. Okay, so you always have that kid.
There's always like 2.
And then you've always got the kid who is on the team only because his father made sure to be friends with the coach like 7 years ago.
Yep.
Make sure that we got this kid lined up. Even though we all know the kid sucks, all the players know the kid suck, but we know he's not going to get cut because, you know, his dad's been hanging out with the coach, and we know that. So that's like those are like 2 guarantees. I probably in every high school, but definitely at ours.
My problem is as a dad watching my son play, that no one else in the area has really learned how to dribble a basketball. Like, they really can't dribble. They barely can dribble with their right hand at this age. So they use my son into the ground to facilitate everybody. He's constantly, whatever play they got, he's swinging it, running through, swinging it. You know what I mean? It's like they take a point guard. If they find a point guard who can like dribble well and he can play defense, they run that kid into the ground, because what a point guard does during a game compared to like the 3 that just like runs down and waits. Like, anytime you want to give me the ball, I'll shoot. Like a 3. Like, and then 3s are always like yelling at the 1s, like, come on, keep up, like shit like that. And so it's like, do you even know what you do?
I wonder if the high school kids, and we'll tie it into the tournament, if they get off Fortnite this weekend and watch some basketball, because you're seeing teams where versatility is at a premium. Motion offenses are at a premium. This brand of basketball that these college teams play is more enjoyable aesthetically than an NBA game.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the high school kids, they want to play like they're in the NBA, where you just see PJ Tucker in the corner waiting for the ball so he can jack up a 3. But in the college game, you're asked to move like pretty much every time down the floor, all 5 men. And you watch some high school basketball running a pro offense, it doesn't click, because I hate to break it to them, they're not that freaking good, especially in this area. And it would be nice to see some of our high schools run more motion, run more things where kids at a younger age, I'm not talking about when they get to high school, where there's no excuse for being an 18-year-old basketball player in a high school team and you can't go right and left. And you can't dribble and you can't dribble the ball off the floor if necessary. And I feel like when teams are down to 1 kid that can be the dribbler, like what the hell have these youth coaches been doing for the last decade? There should be 8 kids on the floor that know how to dribble the basketball off the floor, call a play, and then run the set. Like they really should. And you know, when little Mikey's been the wing guy for 8 years, and all he learned how to do is run from 3-point line to 3-point line, jacking up bombs since he was 10 years old. And that's why you went from D1 down to D2 and soon to be D3. So,
it's unbelievable. It really is. It's unbelievable. And I watched the kid do it, and it's like he the worst part is too. I taught my son to not like open his mouth when he plays ball. Like, just shut up. Don't ever like talk back to a ref. And he does it to a point where, Ray, you've seen him. It's almost like he shows no emotion whatsoever the whole time he's playing. Like, whether Mike's up or he's got the Eli disease. Like, I taught that to him. So it's like coaches love him because he does whatever you ask him to do. But like, he'll be used. Like, he'll be out there just passing the ball. And it's like, I'm like, Mike, why did you kick it to so-and-so? He couldn't hit that shot in a million years. Whereas where you were standing, you had at least a decent chance of hitting that shot. He goes, Coach wants me to feed it to so-and-so. And I'm like, when you going to like go into business for yourself, as wrestlers would say, and keep it one time, Mike, just one time, and shoot from that spot because you can hit it. But nah, man, they run point guards. The kid before him was the best kid in his year, and they ran that kid into the ground. Same way. I teach you. I don't know if you noticed that at all, but they'll run.
I mean, I haven't seen them. I've been in a different division than them for the past, I don't know, forever. I somehow always avoided being in their division for whatever it is. We move up, they move down, left and right. But a lot of high schools. See, here's the thing that the high school point guard doesn't understand, though. If you take a shot and miss, you're not coming out of the game if you're the only one that can run the bleeping offense. And like, I try not to tell some of my point guards this, but every now and then I'll be like, dude, you haven't taken a shot in 6 minutes. Like, just take a shot. Like, I'm not going to pull you out for missing a shot. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure at that age to stay on the floor. Like, you don't want to come out of the game. You want to play. You want to play the game. And, you know, if I make a mistake or do what coach doesn't say, he's going to pull me out of the game. Right? Usually we're pulling you out of the game because you didn't play some defense. That's the reason to come out of the game. But anyway.
Right. Yeah, you're looking tired and stuff like that.
Michigan's pulling away right now, gentlemen.
Good. I bet them minus 4.5.
All right.
They're up 9.
What do we got for NBA games on the slate tomorrow, Kev?
Hold on a second. Tomorrow, let's see. I was still looking at tonight because I just bet Atlanta tonight.
I'll tell you what you got tomorrow. You got Philly at Golden State on national television tomorrow night.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's going to be interesting. Kev, I don't know if you're going to have lines. I think that's going to be a tough game for Philadelphia. I really do.
Yeah,
I'm looking right now. So,
Golden State.
National TV. I like that. And then you got Lakers New Orleans on national TV. Shit. Good night of basketball tomorrow night.
Suns Heat.
Yeah, I only have 3 lines for tomorrow night. It's Nuggets Magic, Lakers New Orleans, and Wizards Knicks.
What's the Wizards Knicks?
Knicks minus 2.
I
like the Knicks.
I like the Knicks too.
See the Lakers Pelicans. Lakers are getting 5.5. Like, to me, that seems a little low.
I think the Pelicans beat them by more than that because a lot of the Pelicans are still ex-Lakers, aren't they? Drop it up. Take the Pelicans.
I think the Pelicans on national TV too with a chant. Yeah, I like the Pelicans to win big.
There's 2, Kev. Come on, give us one more. I'll give you a parlay.
Oh, I got a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
Now the NBA expanded the playoff format to 10 teams, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they did that for Zion?
Yeah. There's a chance. It might be.
Because you look at them right now, this game would be irrelevant. Right now, New Orleans has always been in that 8, 9, 10. They announced it not before the season, during the season. And it dawned on me the other day in a conversation, I'm like, I wonder if they didn't just straight up do it to try and get Zion on TV in the playoffs.
Yeah. They've been trying to get him going with the PR. I know that. I read something actually about that, to be honest.
They really have.
Whoa.
And nothing yet. And there's been nothing yet. People haven't bought it. They haven't seen him.
Like, you know that
Like,
the NBA keeps the
Indiana.
Spurs in the playoffs and Zion not, and is like, how can we fix this? Like, how do we switch this? Because I feel like that league is so driven by getting the faces out there. So anyway, yeah. Lakers,
I can't wait for Milwaukee, Utah. I can't wait
man.
for that series. That is going to be so great. They're going to be so angry. I'm going to
Yep.
Yeah, like, remember how Sega Genesis sometimes would name the game after the last 2 teams that were in that championship? They would never make Milwaukee, Utah.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, no.
There's no video game, Milwaukee, Utah. No.
Imagine.
Yep. Yeah. And,
we need to talk about Elgin Baylor.
All right.
Away today,
Yeah.
number 22. I mean, Laker legend. I think he still holds the record, right, for 56 points in the playoffs. 10-time, All-Star, 10-time All-NBA team, 11-time All-Star. I mean, just smooth, classy. So many players coming out today, and people coming out saying he was the nicest guy to them. A lot of NBA players saying that he welcomed them with open arms. Unbelievable.
Great.
Dude, someone today went on the old Facebook and said he's the most underrated player ever. Because some people he should be in everybody's top 10 list and he's not, and that's quite possible.
yeah, I'm looking at him now. It was a career 27.4 points a game, third best in NBA history. As Brother Ray said, he holds a record for single game NBA Finals scoring record with 61 points in Game 5 of the 62 NBA Finals. That's insane right there. Wow.
You know what it is? It's partly because he wasn't loud, he wasn't brash, and he was on a team, a franchise that had more than their fair share of brash and great players. You know what I mean? Like if he was on probably another team, maybe you think of Elgin more. I don't know. I think it actually hurt him to be on LA because he gets compared to all these other LA people that are loud and big and great. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of them. Magic, Kareem, Shaq, you name the loud guys, Wilt Chamberlain, like these are loud people. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Because Elgin was great. You're right. Why isn't he on more people's top 10 for how good he was? Especially coming out big like that in the playoffs. Like that's can never be overstated.
When your name's in the when your numbers in the rafters for the Lakers, you were a damn good player.
Yeah.
You know, they have so many players up there in the rafters. Same thing with the Celtics. For him to have 22 up there, I mean, he was special.
I think he was. I mean, what you ever think of this? Like, I know this is jumping sports, but I'll bring it back. When like wide receivers started going and wearing like numbers in the teens, it drove me nuts. The purist in me was like getting like just sick to my stomach. That's eventually going to happen, though. I'm thinking in all leagues. However, basketball and hockey seem like the only two sports that are all numbers fair game. Like, it doesn't matter really.
Well, I know in high school and college basketball, you can't have a digit outside of 0 through 5. So you can't have a number 16 in high school basketball, or 17 or 18 or 19, and that's because when the officials call the foul, is this 25 or a 7?
Yep.
So I know that to be true. In the NBA, it's a little different because they'll just call the foul on the guy by his first name because it's whatever. And I think the first guy to really do that was Rodman when he started wearing 99.
Yeah.
But now you see guys with all different kinds of numbers. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. We won't run out of numbers. The Celtics might, but the rest of the teams won't. Celtics, they'll retire your number if you're a good fan.
Why Rick Roby's not up there?
We're retiring 46 today because King Mike had it on his jersey, and he was a great guy. They don't care.
All right, so let's go to this predictions now for the. Let's get back to the college really quick. Predictions for the winner of this whole tournament. Like, how's this going to shake out right now? If you had to say it, let's go with let's start off with TJ. We'll go one at a time. How's it going to shake out?
I don't think anybody can watch the first 4 days and think anything but Gonzaga right now. I mean, they came out. They were very Vince-like. The talent is there. They run great stuff. They haven't lost. They haven't even been, they haven't lost all season, but no one's really making it close. I think if it's Gonzaga versus the field, I'd probably put the money on Gonzaga.
Right?
Yeah, it's Gonzaga. I mean, their defense too is really good. I mean, they're just a solid team. They're running on all cylinders. No one's been close so far. So, I mean, I that has not changed. I mean, I liked them before the tournament. Nothing has changed for me.
Kev, you got anything for me?
Same thing. I have nothing to nothing conflicting with either TJ or Brother Ray said. Okay, you want to talk about any games tonight, or you want to do that a little later? Because
we will in a second. But I just want to state one fact that proves that there's no way Gonzaga is going to win this thing.
Right.
There's no way the three you just ran through it like that so quickly and they're going to win. So now tell me who's going to win. Like, other than them, who's next? Who's next up? Who's winning this? So I can go bet them.
I like Baylor. I mean, they look much better than I thought they would. There was a whole knock on them because they never came back as strong as they were pre-COVID. But they handled Hartford obviously, but they handled Wisconsin pretty convincingly also. And I was all over Wisconsin to beat North Carolina. So I think Baylor's a good. It'll be a good test against Villanova, but I'd still go Baylor.
Ray, coming back around.
Yeah, I mean, the three teams I had that I really liked this year were Gonzaga, Baylor, and Houston. So those, I mean, I have Baylor beating Houston to go to the finals. I mean, those three teams to me were the best teams.
TJ, any other team that's got a shot?
Not really. If I had to pick a dark horse, if you're going to throw 25, I think USC looks really good. And I think USC has like a different kind of. They just look different than the other teams. So I think they're like a 6 seed. They play tonight. If they lose tonight, forget I ever said that. But if they win tonight, could they win another weekend and go to the Final Four? I think they could. I really do. Then again, I'm the same guy that gave you Michigan State to the Sweet 16. So You know,
I just get nervous when everybody picks the same team. You know what I mean? When it's so easy like that, it's just like.
well, there's a reason no one has gone undefeated since Isaiah.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah. All right, Kev. We'll go through the NBA games.
Tonight,
Do you hear me? Kev, I'll go through the NBA games. We can start that if you want to go through them.
Actually, hold on. Yeah, before we switch over, so tonight, as TJ said, USC plays Kansas, and USC. I think USC -1.5 is a pretty good play there. So I would that game doesn't tip off till
USC is favored.
yeah, yep. They're a lower seed. They're favored as a lower seed right now.
I have Kansas winning the whole thing.
All right, so then don't then you'll disagree with that bet, but I would say I would look at USC tonight definitely. Like I said earlier, I Michigan -4.5, and then I had Florida State -1.5. Both those are looking pretty good right now. But if you still want to get some action tonight, I would go with USC.
Oh, is that what you would do for some action tonight, Kev?
That's what I would do. Oh man.
All right. So, do you want to review the games?
Yeah. So, I mean, tonight, like obviously, a lot of NBA stuff already tipped off. Unfortunately, so like Kings, I like Kings -4 on the Cavs. It's too late. The game's already gone. But that would have been a good one. Of the ones that are left, I like Hawks. Hawks getting 6.5 against the Clippers. I think it's a good one if you want to look. If you want to look at that one. And then there's still. I think the Celtics may have just tipped off, but them +4.5 is a really interesting line.
What's the teaser on that?
Teaser's only 4 points in the NBA, so you could tease the Celtics up to 8.5 if you wanted, or you could tease the Hawks all the way up to +10, 10.5 actually.
Celtics are up 5 right now. It looks like.
Celtics.
Yeah. They're in the lead by 5 points.
All right, so we get beat by time-wise on that. I guess the last thing that I would ask you, because this is the one thing that people do have requested is, well, what do we got for fantasy stashes? Like, in other words, give me somebody in fantasy that's not really playing great right now, but he's young and you should stash him because there's a chance next year that different situation, I don't know what, the kid might play. You know what I mean? So if you guys want to take a second, if not, tell me what to go first. Like a stash him keeper league is what the question is, basically.
I'll start with Collins. We mentioned earlier is Collins in Atlanta. If you can find someone who hasn't figured out how good he is, or because he's not really famous yet, like that kid, he's gonna. If you're in a dynasty in a keeper league and you can go out and get him, perhaps your team's not going to make the playoffs, so you're not a threat to win it, and you can go trade a couple guys to get him and stash him for next year. I think he's the kind of guy that you look at. I know in a lot of keeper basketball leagues, you can't keep your first 2-round picks. He's a guy who's not going to be a first 2-round pick. He's not going to cost you a first-round pick. But if you can stash him, he's one I really like.
Ray, you got someone?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple. I mean, I think short-term, definitely Devontae Graham. I think we talked about that with the LaMelo injury. He's really going to take over and get starter minutes, and that is going to translate. So if he's available in your league, please go grab him. That's someone I think you definitely would want to target. As far as sleepers for next year, a couple of guys I really like. I think Teach Coach, you talked about him a couple weeks ago, Emmanuel Quickly. He's starting to finally get that time. He's starting to get the minutes there with the Knicks. A guy I really like is Moses Brown. I mean, from the Thunder. I mean, big guy. I think he had 14 and 13 or 13 and 14 yesterday. Again, he's going to get you double digits and double-digit rebounds. And he's starting to get the opportunity on that team now because Horford's going to be out of there soon. So he's starting to play more minutes. The other guy, and I think we've talked about him a couple weeks ago, Patrick Williams for the Bulls. I mean, when he gets the minutes, he's been producing. And that's someone I think for the future you probably want to look long term.
So hold on. So TJ, do you remember the G League podcast when I talked about Moses Brown?
Yes.
and our brother Ray is throwing over as a sleeper. So I feel so validated because he was the only guy I was going to say. I'm so excited.
You like
Moses
discover.
Brown. Yeah.
You brought him to the podcast. That might be the first time Moses Brown ever came up on a basketball podcast.
Yep. And now you got brother Ray endorsing him. What else? What else? Mike, I feel like the guy, the guest from last night. I've done everything I can in fantasy basketball. I got to mention a G League player, and brother Ray endorsed him. I have nothing else I could possibly do.
Next show, I'm wearing his jersey.
Yeah.
20 rebounds, 20 points, 16 rebounds, 5 blocks in the game this year. He had one of the best games of any big man in the NBA.
Yeah.
I love stat stuffed games. Like I love when someone drops a line like that where it's so stupid. Those are my favorites. They really are in basketball. Like I love the next morning going, what?
Yeah.
What? You know what I mean? Like what? Stat lines are my favorite. All right. We're good, guys. Is there anything you wanted to say before we start to wrap it up? As far as we gotta get the picks out better, we're working on a system though. We actually have something in place, right, guys? We talked about this. Yep. We have a meeting in place for that. But as far as the fantasy, this was helpful. From the feedback I'm getting, these are questions they wanted to ask. But if you guys get anything you want to say before we wrap it up, feel free to go now. If not, we're golden on this one. TJ?
No, we'll talk Thursday. We'll be ready. We'll know what the Sweet 16 is by the end of the night tonight, and that's always exciting. I love this time of year for college basketball. The NBA, it's nice how the NBA schedule gives us a little break right now, where the games are not they're not into their playoff push, because I frankly think my head would explode if I had the playoffs and March Madness at once.
That's a lot. Brother Ray?
Got the NBA trade deadline, like that to me, that's going to be, I'm curious to see what's going to happen, who's going to move. It could determine the rest of the way,
Yep.
Kev?
Nothing. I'm trying to put picks up on the Instagram, but I think the new system we're going to have is going to be a lot better. But I've been doing very well NBA. The tournament is a lot of ups and downs, but let's have USC, Michigan, and Florida State all USC's underdog, but those two cover plus that hit would be a very nice end to the night.
I agree. Hey, I still have Kansas in there. Adoree Jackson is a New York Giant. Oop, did I say that out loud? Imagine that as a second cornerback. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Because Joe Judge is taking it serious this year. I'm sorry. But this was legit fantasy basketball. We will see you again on Thursday when it is time for the Sweet 16. This is me, Mike Lepre, the King Mike L, for LegitFantasySports.com. Please keep liking the video, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thank you so much. Good night.